Big Ben is tilting to the north and keeps leaning about 1 millimeter a year. The 58-story Millennium Tower in San Francisco has sunk over a foot since it opened in 2009, according to a lawsuit. And the former construction manager for this 57-story, $77 million building in Manhattan said it's leaning about 3 inches. Its developer says it's structurally stable. Still, the building sits unfinished. The Millennium Tower has undergone a $100 million construction project to fix the unanticipated movement, according to its owner. These issues all have one main cause: the ground. So to build taller buildings on imperfect soil, developers are using an old technology for a new purpose. It's called deep soil mixing.
I think it has been a game changer, completely game changer.
But there are risks. Here's how it works. The incredible weight of skyscrapers requires a strong foundation to stand on. In Miami, Andres Bacarrizzo is helping to build the city's first super tall skyscraper, the Waldorf Astoria Hotel and Residences Miami, on ground that looks like this: layers of porous limestone and sand. Not ideal for a 100-story tower. So Bacarrizzo and the team are literally changing the earth using deep soil mixing.
At the end, what you end up doing is improving the capacity of the soil to withstand better loads and support buildings or different conditions.
To do this, workers bring in a high torque, or really powerful, drill rig. This big blade carves out wells in the ground that can be up to 110 feet deep. Here, they'll be around 40.
Imagine your kitchen blender, but in this case, it's a 9 to 10 foot diameter blender. This blender has some blades that are going around the ground, and is shooting cement through those blades.
Then, cement mixes with the soil to form a super strong slurry called soilcrete, giving the soil a higher load capacity.
So what you end up taking is a soil that would only have a certain amount of capacity, and you're increase the compression capacity, the lateral capacity on it, and you're gonna make it really stiff, making it stiff and almost impermeable.
These wells are arranged in an overlapping grid so that all of the soil is properly mixed.
Every one of these cells, right, that little circle there that seems little, is really between 9 to 10 foot diameter.
It also makes the ground almost impervious to water, which at waterside properties like the Waldorf Astoria means you don't have to fight the tide.
Before, when you were having the dewatering being run, it's a race against the water to when you can do the work if you're gonna have a high tide, low tide.
Deep soil mixing can also help buildings withstand natural disasters, like earthquakes and the hurricanes seen in Miami, when wind can cause problems for super tall buildings.
What happens typically with winds is that it will push the building to try to tilt, and when it's tilting, it's literally push the building sideways. But more importantly, in the foundation, if you realize if it's going this way, one side is pushing and the other one is lifting. So now you have a tension condition and a compression condition. If you increase the capacity of the piles to not be bent laterally and increase the compression capacity and a little bit of the tension, it's going to end up helping the building to be more stable.
Deep soil mixing's ground hardening abilities not only make a building like this possible, they make it more profitable. For example, developers have been able to add more high-floor condos than they would have if the building was shorter. They'll start at $10 million each and will look like these renderings.
More people are willing to say, you know what, it's interesting, let's go for it. So you're beginning to see this increase of the size of the city and the height of the buildings.
The construction company building the Waldorf Astoria Tower is now using deep soil mixing for shorter residential projects across the country and around the world. They've used it here, here, and here to prevent soil shifting under skyscrapers. And that's just one company's projects. Other companies also have projects underway across the globe. But the method comes with some risks.
So if a building was demolished to be able to put a new building, and they left anything made by man, the big blender is coming into the ground and shooting cement, will hit this obstruction and may shift out of location or damage the tool. If you get shift out of location and you don't realize that it happened, then during the excavation process, you will end up getting some water intrusion.
That's when water flows into the excavation. A small amount is normal, but any flow larger than a garden hose can be hard to fix. Take a nearby Miami project, Una Residences, as an example. In March 2022, water entered the unfinished foundation during deep soil mixing, creating what looked like a lagoon and concerning residents. The developers said that construction is back underway. And some land, like beach sand, is just too soft for deep soil mixing. If the technique is used on soil that's not quite right, the layer of soilcrete can crack.
When it begins to break, the difficult thing is, in most cases, you almost have to start from scratch. Because if you already found you have a weakness, it's not something you can reinforce, as the water will always wants to come in.
Previously, deep soil mixing was mainly used for industrial sites like oil refineries, where the land needed to hold heavy equipment.
Miami was the first city where at some point the industry realized that this condition could help us improve the capacity of on-site soils, and from Miami that has been developing is now beginning to go into other places of the world.
But due to the unique engineering challenges that Miami's sandy soil presents, Andres' team of engineers are paying close attention to the construction. The progress the team makes here will help inform the company's engineers around the globe on how to make more stable ground for their buildings.
As we use it more, we have been able to understand better the system, to keep using their benefits into the benefit of the buildings. So for me, it has been a game changer.